Ajay, 1 second. So I could not. That's
Hi,
fine. Yeah.
Hi everyone. Very good morning. Welcome back to ITOM Batch 2, Day 3. I hope you're doing well. No response. You're not doing well today?
Yeah, Ajay, we're doing good. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, good to hear. So before starting the today's session, I just want to check with you guys. Do you have any questions related to the last two sessions which we have discussed about ITOM capabilities, as well as we discussed about data center, DR, and the device types. Do you have any questions, anything related to that? Okay, I can take silence as a no. So let's get started today to discuss about the CMDB and the discovery in the functional side, and then we'll go to, slowly and gradually for the practical things as well. So let me share my screen. Let me know once you're able to see my screen. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
We're able to see you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, as we already discussed, like CMDB is must required to manage our day-to-day activities, and it's also going to be, used by other ServiceNow modules like ITSM or problem or change or CSM or SecOps and all, right? So we need to be understand that why the CMDB is required and how it's going to be impact to run overall operations as well as other things in the service now and an organization basically, right? So we are today I'm going to be start little bit on the CMDB, and then we'll move to discovery, like how discovery runs and how discovery is going to be help out, right? So if you are able to see on my screen, I already put it like, configuration management database is central repository that act as a data warehouse, storing informations about your IT environment, and it purpose built database for configuration management basically. Right. So if we have a clean and good or healthy CMDB, where the all informations related to my infrastructures or end user devices is updated, and that will help out to use for many purposes, right? If I just want to see where on any incident, where is the issue, on which CI the issue is, right, we are able to find out. And if we want to be see like who is the owner of the CI or what is the configuration of that particular CI, that we are able to check it if the CI is updated in the CMDB. Till if we don't have that updated CI or that particular CI not available in our CMDB or configuration management database, then we have to be lots of challenge to be manage our running processes or running applications as well as our operations, right? So basically, but now the question comes in your mind, what is CI and what is full form of it, right? The CI is configuration item, and it's a record only which include and contains all the relevant data or information of IT asset a company have, such as hardware, IP address, network, warranty details, software licenses, documentation, and many more. So CI is going to be store about the information of manufacturer, vendor, locations, asset ID, serial number, DNS, and CI information can be modified, added, and deleted. So when we are talking about a CI and asset, anyone knows what is the difference between CI and asset? Any idea?
Asset holds like financial information, whereas the CI is just information about configuration item without any financial information.
Right. Anyone wants to add anything on it?
CI shows us the relationships between other configuration items as well, but
Mm.
asset was like more on a financial side, and life cycle from procurement to the disposal of an asset will be
Right.
in the asset side.
Right, definitely. So as you mentioned, in the CI, we are going to be store configuration item related informations, and that information can be, that attribute of that particular CI, like, who is the manufacturer, and what is that OS on that particular configuration item, and related to hard disk, RAM, memory, and what are the running processes on it, what software is running on it, and the relationships, most important part, right? So CI have the relationships with other dependent, upstream and downstream dependent configuration items, so you can easily identify if my that XYZ CI is going to be impact, definitely my downstream application or downstream component which is connected to that CI, or upstream application or upstream component which is running on that CI is also going to be impacted, right? And if that impacted, definitely my business is going to be impacted, right? The same way, asset is just, to track how many assets we available in our organization, and what is the cost belongs to that particular thing, right? And it's help to track my end to end life cycle of assets from procurement to disposal, so we can easily understand, like, when that particular asset is going to be purchased by us, and what when it's going to be depreciated, and if we are going to be depreciate, what will be the cost of it, right? And how it's going to be impact our life cycle, asset life cycle, right? So there is minor difference between assets and CI, but we need to understand when we require to create an asset or when we not, right? And also that asset and CI relationships works on the models basically, right? If you are going to be use the correct model or data model, if when you are going to be insert any CI or asset, automatically based on that, that is going to be relate to each other, right? So most of the organizations, if you remember, are going to be use assets for their physical devices basically, as well as storage or networks, and for end user devices most of the time. So end user devices can be laptop, desktop, or and some consumables as well. They are not going to be stored, but they have the capability to store or get the informations of consumables like keyboard, mouse, or whatever they want to be stored, right? So they have a visibility. This is my budget for this year for consumables or hardware or assets, and that is the stocks we have available that we can utilize, and those particular assets assigns to which team, which person, and then they can also able to get the information about complete monetary informations or financial informations of it, right? As I mentioned, like, assets can be created, which my understanding says, might be I'm incorrect, but I'm trying to say assets can be created for physical things most of the time, because physicals you can track, you are purchase the physical things, virtual things you cannot track. So if you purchase a server and you build 10 virtual machine on it, right, end of the day that is a physical servers, you have to be track the physical servers, financial informations, and that particular life cycle of that particular server, right? So assets will be comes in the picture, right? And we have to be ensure when my assets will be created, if we are creating a CI, or if we are creating an asset, when my CI will be going to be created. So we are going to be little bit deep in the later sessions, but that is the small difference which we have it, right? And if you are able to see right side, I just try to give that information about hardware configurations, like these are the things like for the CI lifecycle, hardware configuration, software configuration, network configurations, and then for IT assets, that will be physical asset life cycles, location, financial, contractual, procurement, and vendors, right? So that will comes in the picture when we are talking about CI and assets, right? Now the next thing is how does a CMDB works basically, right? as you got to know already, like CMDB is a common place where we are going to be store about our configuration items, and and that is going to be associated with IT assets as well, right? So basically in the CMDB, when we are talking about it, it's not about the physical or virtual component we are going to be stored. We are also going to be stored the logical component, like my application services, my business services, my technical services, right? Apart from that, CMDB stores the CI informations as well as associated CI, or connect the CI to that particular main configuration item that is also going to be stored, right? And it helped to give a correct glimpse of, or correct information about the whole things if my CMDB is up to date, right? So when we are talking about the CMDB, right, so how that is going to be create or build, basically the fundamental blocks, building blocks of a CMDB. A CI represent an item under configuration item management, such as router, server, and application and virtual machine, a controller, or even a logical construct such as a portfolio. Data imports tool are usually used to identify CI in the environment and transfer them to CMDB. Once all our information is gathered and unified, it must be reviewed by accuracy and consistency, and any data gaps should be identified and resolved. So, what does that mean? Basically, CMDB have lots of class, and that CMDB have particular data model. If any CI comes to any class or anything, that should be go to, or available in this particular, or correct class, basically. If that is also not there, means my data is not correct, right? Second thing, we also need to be worked on the duplicate side, CI duplications issues, right? So CI should not be duplicate. Third is data consistency and accuracy, right? So my CI should be updated properly on time, as well as data should be updated correctly there. That should be ensured by a CMDB manager or CMDB owner who looking for that particular process is CIs, right? The now next question comes in my mind here: how we can use that particular CMDB, and how it's going to be help out to improve my operations, right? So first of all, to manage the CMDB or to insert the CMDB, as already discussed, there are a couple of ways to upload the data, right? You can do through manual, you can do through service graph connectors, and the most important thing is the discovery, right? So ServiceNow also provides a discovery application or module. Using that, you can run your discovery alternate days or daily basis based on your requirement and how frequent your CIA configuration item or configuration information is going to be changed. Based on that, you can define, right? So we will discuss on those next slides. As a characteristics of the CMDB is seamless dashboard, so which help to give you the complete information about how many CIs are there, what is the status of the all configuration items, right? In each class, what type of the CIs we have it, who is the owner, and if you just want to get the all information about the based on the CI owners, we can see that, right? Access control, who have the access to work on it, right? It doesn't means like all organization have the access to modify or worked on that particular things, right? So we have some rules specific things available in the CMDB when we are specific discussing about that. So application owner, or that business owner, or the CMDB manager or the CMDB analyst should have access to modify the CI. Apart from that, no one can able to modify the CI. He is able to see that particular CI and what the information available on it, right? That compliance again comes in the picture. We have to be maintain the compliance for the particular CMDB, right? Creation of the CI and data population is also required. Federated data sets and IT service mapping, right? So federated data sets is, a couple of times what will be happening. We are able to discover the CI, but we are not able to get the manual attribute which is not coming from the discovery. Like location cannot come from the discovery. Like application owner, business owner, technical owner, assigned, one is not able to get from the discovery, right? So you have to be understand the manual attribute or logical component which cannot be discovered, how you are going to be set up a process that will going to be update on timely or time basis without any issue, right? We also need to be discussed on those things. Then service mapping, how CMDB or my CIS is going to be help out to create the service maps, right? And how to give the correct visualizations. If my CMDB is not correct, if my discovery is not running on the time, we cannot use the same service mapping, right? So that is also required. And what will be the challenges we face basically while we are working on the CMDB? The accuracy. Accuracy is, I also faced couple of times. The customer is given me 1,000 IPs basically for discovery, and or IP subnets basically. Example, let's take an example. Customer is given 200 IP subnets, and we found 10,000 CIs on it, right? Be it is a Linux server, Windows server, storage, network, and all, right? But customer don't have the list. If customer we are asked a customer a list of validations to make the CIs, customer have the list of 15,000 CIs only. So customer also don't have the accurate data, right? So then we have to take a call with customer to discuss what extra 5,000 CIs we found it, right? Are they actually using it or no, right? Because sometimes when we discovering or running the discovery, we found the extra CIs as well, so we have to be discussed as well, right? Second thing, when accuracy comes, again manual attribute will comes in the picture, right? So discovery is doing, or discovery discovers the accurate data for configuration items, but manual attribute accuracies must be required, right? So then we have to be understand then how and from which source we can get that particular data, or we have to be manually upload every week, or we have to be run couple of transfer maps, or do we have any repository or any SharePoint where the data is going to be updated, we can pull from there and update the CI regularly without any issue. Or we can create a custom not custom, basically we can create a service catalog where if any new CI is going to be on board in the CMDB, we can ask couple of manual informations and the IP, and based on that CI will be created in the CMDB, and we can pick the IP and we can put it on discovery schedule, and automatically when once discovery run, that CI will completely updated by the discovery as well, right? So we will discuss on those thought processes or those particular processes while we are running to maintain our CMDB, right? Centralization, how we can centralize, because lots of organization have different tools most of the time, right? So if I'm belongs to ALOB, I'm using a one tool, right? Second one is belong to BLOB and they are using that B tool, and they are more you know consistent with their tool only, right? They understand how, and they are more familiar with their tool, and moving out to all particular things or all particular data to ServiceNow is also a challenge, right? So we have to sit with that particular stakeholders. We have to showcase what is the benefit to moving out all in the centralization or the CMDB in ServiceNow, and how it's going to be benefit you, right? Multiple data sources. If we have multiple data sources, how we are going to be manage the data, how we are discussing about, like if a data source is giving the A information and data source is giving the B information, what is the source of truth for that particular informations for it, right? Let me give an example here. You are running discovery on Windows server from ServiceNow discovery, okay? That is discovered and that is updated in CMDB, but the same server is also coming from SCCM, because that is a Windows, right? You also done integration for from Windows to cap the data for servers as well as end user devices, laptop and desktop, right? And somehow that your SCCM server is giving that informations is not matching with that you are received from discovery, right? And if CMDB owner or CMDB analyst observe that, they can reach out to you, like from SCCM we are getting 20 GB hard disk, but discovery is giving me 100 GB hard disk, right? Then we cannot, it's ServiceNow discovery source is always source of truth, because that is capturing the informations live running some patterns or command in the backend and updated that particular attribute. But SCCM is not, right? SCCM is just, a a simple, I can say, installer or a patch install on that machine, and based on that he's collecting, right? So we just need to be dig down on those particular things to be understand what will be the correct source for it. And if it is, despoiling our discovery things and other things, we have to be take a call on this. Okay, we are not going with the SCCM as a source of truth or the things that is required to update on Windows Server, or we have to take a call which attribute must to required to update from SCCM and other attribute going to be updated by discovery, right? So we can define using identification and reconciliation rules that we will going to be discuss as well, right? Processes. Process is, the most important part to manage a CMDB, right? Again, we have to define the rules. We have to define that we know what processes we are going to be use it, when the CI is going to be updated, who are going to be create or update the CIs. That should be defined to make a clean and healthy CMDB, right? Then relevancy, team commitment, and tools, right? So that is also comes in the picture when we just want to update the correct CMDB without any issue. So any questions in that, guys, till now? No? Okay. So let me move to the next slide. I'm just going to be discuss about the CMDB best approach, how that is going to be implement and what will be the phase to implement that one, right? And how that is going to be update correct things basically, and step by steps we have to be go to update or build our CMDB, right? So three things comes in the picture, which is people, process, and technology. Pupils basically the all stakeholders, or CMDB owners, CMDB analyst, which comes in the picture. Process is all about how they want to be update, what process they are using, how they are going to be update the things. And technology, which technology or which tools they are using to update the CMDB, right? Then first things comes in the picture when we are going to be plan for CMDB best implementation approach is planning, right? So now let's take an example here. You are in a new project and you have to be implement the CMDB, right? How you are going to be assess, how you are going to be understand the customer, what you are currently using, which tool you are using, and how many CIs you have it, right? Then the planning phase comes in, evaluate CMDB maturity, how the CMDB is mature for the customer, right? How much that is mature. We need to be understand. Second thing, identify and prioritize core CMDB classes, right? So when I'm specific or discussing about the core CMDB classes, that means the core hardware type of or virtual type of classes that is most required by the customer, like Linux servers, Windows servers, any type of network class, storage class, virtual machine instances, ESX, that we are going to be identify to take a call to upload or to discover through discovery to update in CMDB. Identify authorization source for the CI. So authorization source basically which source is give the source of truth of data for that particular CI or CI class, right? Then we also need to be identified. I know still there are a couple of users or a couple of organizations not using discovery, right? They are only relying on their third party source like Escom, SolarWinds, Red Hat, or some others to update their things, right? Identified non-discoverable CIs and attribute. So non-discoverable CIs, sometimes a couple of CIs we have available which is not connected to the internet, right? Or due to some limitations in service now, we don't have out of the box pattern, but that as per SOW, we have to go with that, out of the box implementation. We cannot customize anything for the customer, right? Then we have to take a call as well, and we have to be discuss what type of the CIs you have it and which we can use or which we have to be update in the CMDB. And then we have to give the informations to customer. that particular things is coming from XYZ source, that particular thing coming from the discovery, but that cannot be discovered from uh, basically from ServiceNow, as well as that non-discoverable attribute as I discussed, like service owners, technical owners, assigned to location, that is not able to discover, right? So you have to be discussed what approach you want to be take a final call on it, right? And that particular things will be happening when you are doing planning sessions with the customers and when you are doing that workshop sessions with the customer to assess their current CMDB situation and how you are able to help out to improve that CMDB situations or CMDB data using ServiceNow, right? Then fine tune CMDB iteratively and overall governance process. That governance process is must here, right? It just not like that ki you just updated the CMDB one time using discovery or any third party source and it's going to be up to date every time, right? So we have to be design the governance process, how that is going to be governed, how that is going to be up to date on each and every time, right? That we also do need to do. And in the planning phase as well, the one thing which I not mention here, I just want to mention here, data model. So we have to be sit with the customer and need to define the data model for each and every class. Now what is data model for the CMDB is, data model is where you are going to be discuss about what attribute customer required and how he wants to populate or showcase those attribute on the CMDB forms basically, and what is the mandatory attribute without that we can say this discovery or that particular CI is incomplete. We have to be designed. So I will showcase you in the next slide what is the data model, our seeds, and how we are going to be prepare that one. But that is must required to understand, like a customer says for Windows Server, I need location, I need hardware details of that particular CI or the virtual machine, and I need that particular information. But it can be possible for Linux machine. He mentioned I'm not bothering about the location or I'm not bothering about that disk or memory, right? But I apart from that, that other things will be there, right? So we need to be defined what is mandatory fields for that particular CI class. I'm specifically mentioning specific to CI class. That can be sometimes different because attribute which is available on the service now for each class are different. So we are going to be discuss and finalize that one as well, data model. And we also need to showcase if we are using ServiceNow Discovery, what we can achieve out of the box using ServiceNow Discovery. It doesn't mean end of the day that should not be customer come and ask, hey, we that attribute is not discovering, you're not able to update that one. But what is the issue? So deliberately before first hand you have to showcase these are the out of the box which we can discover, and if you need any customization we can do that. But again, that is depend on that customer SOW. If customer SOW allows to do the customization, then you can modify using discovery or the service graph connector or whatever. We will discuss on those things as well, right? Any questions in the planning phase? Anyone? I hope you are able to hear me, guys.
Yes, Ajay. Uh, Ajay, SOW means you're saying if it is like ServiceNow will charge for creating custom CMDB classes. Is that what you mean?
Yes, definitely, because ServiceNow is charging for that. Its limit of is there, but ServiceNow is charging for the custom classes if you
Oh,
are going to
and
be create.
if
And
I
SOW is scope of work.
okay,
Right, so you are working with a organization of ServiceNow partner or anywhere, right? But you have to be decide a scope of work for anything, right? If that is not decided, that is going to be till end, right? So that should be there, and based on that, we have to be proceed to work on it.
and will they charge or will they allow to modify the patterns or for I've seen your video like in the extension section in the,
Right.
for
Mhm.
modifying modification over there as well?
No, they are not charging for anything pattern modifications, but I never suggest to modify the pattern except doing couple of things. I will tell you which is, but I never suggest to do modification of out of the box pattern. What is the consequences is, let's take an example. You have a Linux server pattern and you modified the identification section of that particular pattern. Okay, you modified it, now your things is working, but when you are going to be upgrade on a new release of service now, that time that will blast, you are not able to fix it. And because when you are moving out to upgrade, you have to do couple of testing and your discovery will not be working, because they will replace your pattern with the existing one, because you already upgraded in that one, and then you're going to be implement your customization and things again, right? So that's why I'm not suggesting to modify the pattern. In that case, what I suggest, you can create the same pattern, you can copy the pattern, existing pattern out of the box, leave it out of the box the same one, and you can modify, or you can create or copy the existing pattern and you can modify that pattern. The first thing. Second thing, what you need to do, you have to, if you want to do a small couple of things, right? You can use extension section of the pattern, right? If let's take an example, customer is saying, I want last reboot time of that particular machine. If you go to identification section of the pattern, you can modify, right? That will impact you. But if you create an extension section as a custom solution, you can go and just put some commands and get that last reboot date of that particular machine. It will easy, and it will not going to be impact your pattern or upgrade while you're doing upgradation. But we will discuss on those particular things in the next classes. Definitely we have lots of time to do that, right? So we'll go over there.
Thanks, Ajay. And last question:
Mhm.
will they allow to add attributes to the classes? Is that
Yes, attribute is something the form design, right? You can create custom
and
attributes on the form. Yeah.
service now will charge for it,
No,
or
nothing. I don't think so.
okay, okay.
Classes or that, custom things will be there. Like, custom thing is something, custom classes or custom table you are creating, right? So there is now is a limit. I'm not sure about the limit. I think 10 tables or 15 tables, something is there.
I
If
think
you,
initially it was 50, but I'm not aware of.
yes, right. So if you are going more than that, then definitely ServiceNow is going to be start charging on it. I will tell you tomorrow, like, what is the custom classes we have available or tables we have available to create in the service now.
Okay.
Okay, let's move to the, yeah.
And one question. So
Mhm.
what is what there is a column in the classes that's called principal CI. So if you mark a particular class as a principal CI, what does that mean?
So, principal CI mean in the simple way, if I say, if you are going to CI class manager and you marked as a principal CI, that particular class will available everywhere on the service now. Means if you are raising an incident and you are referring the configuration item field on the CMD incident, principal CIs will only visible on that particular filter or reference. It doesn't mean all whole complete CMDB will be available there. There are two ways to do that, right? On the configuration item table, you can go to the dictionary and you can put some filter condition there. Those particular CI will be available, or you can mark the principal CIs that will be available there, and that will be available across the platform for each module. You can override that as well. Means it can be available on the incident, it can be available on the problem, it can be also available on the change as well. I
Okay,
hope,
got it.
right?
Mhm.
So that's why that is function is these are, as I mentioned in the last slide, core CMDB classes, right? Now let me give an example here. I just let me ask to you guys, if your laptop is impacted, means your laptop is not working. Now you want to raise an incident, right? In configuration item, what type of class you are going to be select, or how you are going to be find out your laptop as a configuration item in the configuration item field on the incident, and which class you are going to be select.
Depends on the type of laptop, right? If it could either be the Windows class or
No, your laptop is Windows, right? And
okay.
it's a normal Dell laptop.
Yeah, so then the Windows class.
Okay, now Windows class, but now while you are searching with IP address or host name of your laptop XYZ, right? You are getting 10 records, and the 10 record belongs to one is for Windows server, or sorry, Windows class, or not for Windows. Basically, it comes as a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, second thing comes as a IP address. Third things comes as a software, and there are other 5-10 classes there, right? While you're searching with your host name of the CI. Now, which one you select in that one? Okay, this is impacted. Now, let me tell you. So you will select computer, or you mentioned Windows Server or Linux. You will select based on that particular class only. You are not going to be select software. You are not going to be select, IP addresses. You are not going to be select database, because your laptop is impacted, right? And the same name, as I mentioned, couple of configuration item mentioned. To remove that confusion for the customers or end users, we use principal class. So specifically code type of CI or attribute, or so CI is available on the incident, and you can choose the correct thing from there. We can use principal class. Otherwise, customer is going to be confused, because I will tell you in the next things. Basically, when you are building or creating a CI in the CMDB, there are lots of associated records will be created with that for each type of class, and that data is going to be stored on that particular class. And couple of times the naming convention and IP address is because they are referring of that same CI is also going to be same, right? So in that you are going to be select the computer class with your name and all, and that you can showcase that this is my laptop which is impacted for any XYZ reasons. Okay, is that clear?
But
Mhm.
yeah, so like, but that is not like a unique for every organization, right? Might be, it can be changed, right? Parallel, it
Definitely,
would be.
definitely, definitely it would be changed. But you know, I'm just trying to showcase the best practices which we have to be follow, right?
Got it.
Eh, And and we have to be discuss and think about it with the customer as well, how we are going to be use it. Right. If a customer is saying unnecessary nonsense things to do, and that is not allowed, that is going to be impact on the customer. End of the day, you have to be discussed with the customer to understand why he's forcing to do that. And you also showcase why I'm going to be do that particular things, and what is the best practices says if you want to run your CMDB healthy and clean.
True. Understood. Yeah.
Right. Right. Sorry. I
Uh,
think
uh,
let's move.
uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
and one more last question. So, can I like, can you please tell like what are the legacy applications to discover the servers? Like we have ServiceNow Discover, right? So,
Huh. I
a
will.
few minutes back you have mentioned few names, but can
I
you
will. I
please
will.
explain? Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, I will. I will. I'm coming to on those points, right? So now let's take an example. We have our data model ready. We have understand about the complete thing, like about the CMDB maturity. We have finalized like what is the mandatory attribute, what is the core classes for us to be, start discovering or uploading the data to CMDB. If you see in the implement phase, right? We have a couple of authoritative sources, right? So one is SCCM. SCCM is Microsoft product. I think configuration management something says. So that is a Microsoft product, and that is basically help out to discover the Windows servers or Windows operating systems is Windows. If it can be discovered for laptop, desktop, or Windows server, basically if where the operating system is Windows. right? And again, this is a agent based, right? So Microsoft or that, the SCCM team wants to do, they are going to be install an agent through Microsoft SCCM configuration management console to that particular machine, which they want to be capture or which they want to be discovered through SCCM. Okay. And once that done, that data will be stored in SCCM database, MySQL database, and then you can do integration with ServiceNow to pull the data to populate in ServiceNow. So mostly SCCM is going to be used for laptop and desktop data. And if customers don't want to use the ServiceNow discovery, then he can also use Windows Server as well. But customer don't want to purchase licenses for laptop and desktop because the count of very huge in an organization. Right. Let's take an example. A big organization there, we have 50,000 resources, right? I want to be purchased 50,000 resources or licenses for laptop and desktop. It's going to be very huge, right? So customer is not purchasing and he is relying on SCCM data in that case, right? Second thing, apart from SCCM, there are a couple of other graph connectors or service graph connectors available or other third-party market tools available. That one is Red Hat. Red Hat is specifically working for Linux type of devices, Linux OS devices, right? Then we have Intune or JMF, which is more focused on Apple type of devices or iOS based devices, right? Then we have SolarWinds. SolarWinds can discover any type of devices that can be network or Linux or Windows or anything or storage as well, right? Or database as well, right? And the same way we have lots of aftermarket tools available which can be leveraged to populate the CMDB. And for that, out of the box service graph connectors available. Service graph connector is just nothing. It's just a simple step-by-step configuration which is provided by ServiceNow. Like you need to be put IP address, you need to be put username and password, and it's going to be connected immediately with out of the box configuration which is put done by ServiceNow in the backend, right? So that is also there. If service graph connector is also not available, you can do basically that integration, REST API integration with that particular API of that particular tool, right? You can pull the data and put it to in transfer maps and sorry, staging table, and then you can put it to target table directly. That is also there, right? But it depends. Then the third things comes discovery. So ServiceNow discovery, the all capabilities, how that is working, right? And we are going to be discussing the next things, how it will be work. So discoveries are there. Sometimes customer don't have anything. Customer have Excel sheet. You have to be upload the data as well. But you have to give a confirmation to customer. We are not ready or we are not sure how much data you're how much percentage data you're accurate in that particular Excel sheets, because that is not coming from any data source. Might be that the customer is managing manually that particular Excel sheets, right? So that is also there. Then next thing is define CI exclusions, right? It's specifically for discovery or any source, right? So if sometimes customer says these are not in your control, like there is one zone which we call, I'm just forgetting the name. So there are a couple of CIs which you cannot discover. It might be due to that is not connected to internet, due to some security reasons, because they are not going to be provide you access to run discovery on it, right? Because without couple of access, you cannot fetch that information from there, right? Or that is not allowed by the security team to discover. So you have to define that CI exclusion in implement phase itself. We are not going to be discover, or might be that is not available, that out of the box pattern or out of the box prop or the class. If you are going with out of the box things only, that is not available in ServiceNow. So you have to define that exclusion. Then define data source precedence and reconciliation. If you have two data source or more than two data source, you have to define the data source precedence as well. Like which data source comes first and update the CI and which attribute he needs to be updated, right? using the reconciliation. So we can also control each and everything related to which attribute needs to be updated from which data source and when it's going to be updated, means what is the higher precedence of the data source for that particular to update the CI. So let's take an example. You have a Windows server where the two data source, one is SCCM and one is discovery and one is Intune is also discover the Windows server, right? So what is your based on the strategy or based on the planning, we need to be understand the discovery is running on the Windows server. This is the first data source or data source of truth basically to update the CMDB. Second is SCCM or third might be Intune. So you need to be define the data source precedence. Now that comes in the picture which attribute going to be updated by SCCM or Intune, because discovery is updating all things, right? So if you see the SCCM is able to provide you assigned to or technical owner, you can define that particular thing that will be updated by that data source. Or as well, if you feel ki discovery will not you know discover or it's giving the incorrect informations for any specific particular attribute, or you want to be update that particular attribute from SCCM only, you can also do configuration in reconciliation. So in the next classes, we also going to be discuss about deep and dive about data source and the reconciliation rules, right? And then
Ajay,
our company, yeah, yes, please.
Uh, you're saying data precedence rules. Are they available now? I hope we don't have them anymore, right? We have only reconciliation rules, right?
Data source precedence is there.
Okay. Where we can configure them? Like,
In the left navigation panel, search under the CMDB data source precedence. That is
oh,
the same name.
oh,
This is just to set the priority for data source only. It's not doing anything.
God.
Okay. And then is over communicate the model lexiations, right? So OCM basically, right? So OCMs comes the picture in like while we have to be provide the correct communications to all the stakeholders, all the management, as well as what will be the models and other things we are going to be used in the implement phase, right? So that we are going to be design or decide in our implement phase basically. Now, any questions in that in implement phase? Okay, let's move to the managing one. So now you evaluate the situation, you implement the thing. Now your data is available in the CMDB. Right. The third things in the comes in the picture are related to managing, because let's take an example. You are purchasing a vehicle. You go to the showroom. You purchase the vehicle. You get your get your home that particular vehicle. But the main race or the main thing comes starts now to manage that vehicle or to maintain that vehicle for long running, right? The same way the CMDB is also we have to be managed. So we have to define the Raki. Raki, I hope you heard about that word, right? Anyone heard about Raki?
That is Rasi or Raki.
Rasi or Raki something the same, right? Rasi
Yeah,
matrix basically.
Rasi matrix. Yeah, yeah, we heard about
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Right. So Resi matrix we have to be defined for the CMDB classes and the CIs, like who is the responsible, who is acknowledgement, who is working on those particular things, right? Then document policies and procedures, discover versus manual CI and attributes. We have to be that is already we discussed in the planning, right? So we have to be design or decide which document policy is required, what procedure we are going to be follow to create and to update the CI for discover attribute and non-discoverable attribute, right? So if a process is there, everyone is going to be follow that. If process is not there, we have not defined the correct process and policies, anyone go to the CMDB and mess up that particular things, right? So we have to be control the rules, we have to be control the access to the CMDB to specific pupils or managers only, and we have to be design the process as well. So process should be there, right? define KPIs and CSFs. KPIs basically, like, we have to be defined when we think our CMDB is up to date, and these are the parameters which management requires to do that, right? Data reconciliation and data source precedence, again the same thing which we have already discussed, right? So while we are managing, if we feel that data source is not correct, or data source is precedence, we need to be make it high, or we have to be configure the data reconciliations again based on the current situation or requirements, we can modify that as well. But that comes under the managing as well, to make sure our CMDB is good and healthy. The next things comes in the picture is reporting and auditing, the fourth phase. So reporting and auditing, we are going to be cover like overall CMDB health, like how my CMDB looks like. So we are going to be discuss these three KPIs, which is completeness, correctness, and the compliance, and how that is useful to make my CMDB healthy. So we will discuss on those things. Again, KPI and CSFs, audit non-discoverable CI and attribute for accuracy. So for reporting and auditing purpose, CMDB owners or CMDB managers or analysts need to do, once in a week, auditing of non-discoverable CIs or attributes to showcase the accuracy to the management as well. Audit discoverable CIs. So we have to be audit the discoverable CIs, want to understand what type of data, or is the data is correct, to randomly check any type of CIs. And audit integration logs. So we need to be understand when it's going to be, or the how frequent this my CIS is going to be updated by that any integration or discovery. So we need to be design that particular process to understand as well. Any questions in that particular slide, guys? Is that clear to everyone? Because that is something most important thing which we have to be understand functionally first of all, and then we'll moving out to technical, then we are going to be discuss how that is going to be help out in the technical sides if we are functionally correct or doing the configurations for everything, anything. But I feel, and that is my personal thing, basically I can say key, you need to be understand the processes, you need to be understand the things functionally correctly. If you know the functional things correctly, you know the business requirements, you know that you did the correct planning, or did the correct things, then you are able to implement the correct things as per the requirement from the customers. So any questions in it from anyone? Okay. Okay, we have 5 minutes more, so let's discuss about that one as well. CMDB architecture and CMDB table schema, right? And how that, if you are able to see on my right side on the screen, then first is CMDB, then this CMDB CI comes under, then CMDB CI hardware, the computer servers. So basically, this is the basic tables which I showcase you on that particular screen, right? But each table have parent table, like servers is a part of hardware table again. But if you want to see specific servers, all type of servers, that will be part of the servers. If you want to see servers as well as the computers and user devices as well, then you can refer the CMDB CI computer, right? And if you want to see all type of network devices, mostly contains in that one, so you can refer the hardware table. So every somewhere that classes are going to be attached with that parent table basically, and how the schema is working. But it doesn't means कि we can populate the data to server table directly, right? Or we can populate the all data related to servers and all things to computer. We have to go to choose wisely, or if we are using discovery, automatically that will be happening. But if we are loading data to manually, or it's coming from any discovery source and anything, we have to choose wisely where or in which class my data will be populated. If it is Windows server, it should be go to the Windows server, not to that CMDB CS server directly. And I face that lots of time with working with the customers. The date they are not storing the data into correct tables. while they are doing manual things, and they are not understand about the CMDB schema, how that will work basically, right? And if I showcase you in the left hand side, CMDB architectures is the data providers is there. So data providers again, import chat, discovery, service mapping, integration using the REST sources, data sources that can be service graph connectors and custom applications. When that will comes to in ServiceNow CMDB, the three things will be happening as I mentioned: data precedence, CI reconciliation, and CI identification, right? We will discuss deeply in the next slides, but these things will be updating my CMDB. If the data is correct at these, which is coming there, and we have configured the correct CI identification, CI reconciliation, and data precedence rules, then it will be good for our data consumers. That can be incident management, problem change management, custom applications, or any tables or any field. And it's good for running that IT operations and IT service management smoothly. Any questions in that, guys, in that slide? I hope you are able to hear me.
Till now, it's good, Rajay. Good
Okay,
to know about it. Yeah.
sure. Anything from anyone? Okay, then
Yeah, Ajay, can we get this slide? So like we have to prepare our content.
I can share with you, but on the one thing only, if you're not going to share with anyone.
Okay. And other than that, like in now learning, can we follow the same course like CMDB and other things?
Yes, I'm coming to that point. Just give me 1 or 2 days. Then,
Okay.
I'm going to be follow the now learning content as well, while
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be start on the discovery things. And then again, we are going to be move out on the CMDB. Once my discovery classes is completed in within 10 to 15 days, then we'll move out to CMDB, because CMDB comes in the picture when we have data available.
Yeah.
Right. So we will discuss on those particular things, but and I will showcase you what you have to be start, what topic you have to be, start or learn to come in this class before that, right? So we'll start in the next week from that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Okay.
just I'm just trying to cover the basics things. So you are more comfortable to understand what is CMDB, what is discovery, and what is complete ITOM. If you are clear about that particular thought processes, then I think if we are going to be little bit deep to understand that one, that is very easy to understand for you guys as well.
Actually, the thing is that sometimes you're using a technical terms which is I'm not aware of that in the class. Like, if you're
Hmm.
giving some example, so to go through that, like, is there any way we can read it out and we can find some, means 100% things are not covered in the class. Like, if you want to go for some little extent, like,
Hmm.
just want to know like where we can start and we can read it out.
So, almost all the things available on the ServiceNow documentations are now
Yeah.
learning, right? But
Mhm.
I'm here. If you feel, KJ, you use that particular terms, what is the mean of it? Can you help out with a simple example? You can stop me anytime. I will help out on those particular things. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Okay. Arati, you have something you want to ask anything? Or we are good?
Yes, but I have a discovery question, but it's not related to what you're doing here right now, but I still
Okay,
have a
let
question.
me, one moment, let me stop.